The Viking heating hack, so powerful armies tried to hide it after the war. What if I told you that 1,000 years ago, before electricity, before modern engineering, before central heating, an ancient civilization had already solved a problem that modern armies struggled with for centuries? What if that solution was so effective, so strategically valuable, that after wars ended, it quietly disappeared from military manuals? Not destroyed, not disproven, just forgotten, or worse, buried on purpose. Tonight we're uncovering the Viking heating hack that let warriors survive brutal winters, operate in frozen terrain, and turn the cold itself into a weapon. And why, after the modern age arrived, armies stopped talking about it. Cold has always been the ultimate enemy. It doesn't care how strong you are, how disciplined your army is, or how advanced your weapons may be. Cold slows reaction time. It weakens muscles. It drains calories at terrifying speed. Historically, more soldiers died from cold than from combat. Napoleon in Russia, Hitler in the Eastern Front. Even modern armies, with engines, fuel and insulation, still fear winter. But the Vikings, they didn't just survive winter, they thrived in it. We're taught to think of Vikings as brute savages, axes, fur cloaks, longships, chaos. But that image is convenient because it hides something uncomfortable. The Vikings were elite engineers, not in steel and circuits, but in systems. They understood airflow, thermal mass, insulation, heat recycling, concepts that wouldn't be formalized until nearly 1,000 years later. And at the center of it all was something deceptively simple: fire, used the wrong way. The Viking longhouse was not just a home, it was a thermal machine. At first glance, it looks inefficient. A long wooden structure, a single fire pit in the centre, no chimney. Smoke fills the room, walls blackened with soot. Primitive. Right? Wrong. That mistake was the hack. The smoke didn't escape quickly. It lingered, it spread, it coated the roof beams, and over time, that soot created a carbonized insulation layer. Smoke-filled air trapped near the ceiling acted as a thermal barrier. Hot air didn't escape, it was recycled. The Vikings turned a floor into a feedback loop. Now look down. The floor wasn't wood, it was packed earth, stone, sometimes clay, materials with high thermal mass. During the day they absorbed heat from the fire. At night, when temperatures dropped, they slowly released it back into the room. No fuel, no flames, just stored warmth. Passive heating, 1,000 years early. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Vikings didn't heat space, they heated bodies. People slept together. Animals were brought inside. Livestock shared walls with warriors, not out of desperation, but design. Every warm body added to the system. Each person became a heat node. The longhouse wasn't a shelter. It was a living furnace. Now, here's the part you weren't taught. This system didn't stay at home. Vikings adapted it for campaigns, temporary turf shelters, earth-covered tents, low-profile fire pits with restricted airflow. The goal wasn't flames, it was heat retention. Enemy scouts couldn't see smoke. Thermal signatures stayed low. fuel consumption dropped dramatically. While other armies burned through wood, Viking forces stayed warm on a fraction of the resources. Cold became irrelevant. Fast forward to the 20th century. World wars, mechanized armies, industrial warfare, and suddenly military engineers rediscover something unsettling. Low-tech thermal efficiency beats high-tech heating. Field manuals begin to quietly reference earth insulation, smoke management, heat recycling, body heat concentration. Not Viking names, just techniques, and then they vanish. Why? Because these systems don't scale well for empires. They don't require fuel supply chains. They don't rely on centralized infrastructure. They don't need factories. They work for small, decentralized units. Guerrillas, resistance groups, survivors, people who don't want to be found, people who don't want permission. In war, heat is life. Whoever controls warmth controls endurance. Whoever controls endurance wins time, and time wins wars. Modern armies prefer solutions that require logistics, contracts, fuel depots. A Viking-style system? Too independent, too quiet, too hard to control. This isn't a conspiracy in the movie sense. No secret meeting rooms, no shadow councils, just something more mundane. Inconvenience. The Viking heating hack doesn't sell products, doesn't require patents, doesn't fit into a modern economy built on consumption. So it fades. Not because it doesn't work, but because it works too well without permission. Today you'll find echoes of it. Passive houses, earth-sheltered architecture, thermal mass design, off-grid survival shelters, all rediscovering what the Vikings already knew. Heat isn't about power. It's about flow. 1,000 years ago, Vikings stared into the cold, and instead of fighting it, they understood it. They bent it, reused it, trapped it, and for a brief moment in history, they made winter irrelevant. So the question isn't why armies stopped teaching this. The real question is, what else did ancient civilizations solve that we quietly decided to forget?